road to war. Every One Shepherd FTX begins with a road to war. And the purpose of the road to war is to lay out the political and geographical situation that the FTX will be taking place under. That way, the warriors participating in the FTX, regardless of which side they are on, kind of understand the goals and aspirations of their side and why they have to accomplish certain objectives. And what this road to war does is it gives a history overview of the conflict, it gives a political overview, it establishes each side's objectives, and it's also for the opportunity for the composition of the teams to be confirmed.
Okay, DSM and PRK forces are currently in open conflict along the border. PRK forces sustained heavy losses during recent actions along the border. The PRK border remains defended but is shored up with hastily placed minefields. Analysis suggests that DSM is taking action in response to PRK, but likely attempting to regain control of the territory lost in the 21-day war. With evidence that DSM is supporting insurgent activities within PRK and now open conflict, PRK has requested and is now receiving military aid and assistance from the ROW located to the north. The internal civil and political unrest within the DSM makes the prospect of a new war unfavorable. Analysis suggests military forces of DSM are capable of performing decisive military actions deep into PRK, but have limited abilities to sustain prolonged combat operations against the combined forces of PRK and ROW.
As the next morning began, each of the teams conducted their individual PT, and then from there moved on into their op orders.
UAV imagery provided by S2 has identified enemy forces south of minefield grid 494194. Enemy DSM units have been observed attempting to clear the minefield in this area. Enemy breakthrough in this area of the PRK defensive line is anticipated. DSM forces operating in this area believed to be between platoon and company level strength. Your mission, Keokuk Border Guard, 1st Platoon Alpha Co, will delay DSM forces moving through the AO. The commander's intent at the company level is to delay enemy movements within AO Hound in order to allow for arrival of Allied reinforcements along the PRK border. So you're going to insert into AO Hound, identify likely key avenues of approach, delay enemy movements within AO Hound, and deny enemy movement west of phase line Kia. And you're going to maintain communications with Higher. The end state is to delay enemy movements within AO Hound from Easting Line 4850 to Easting Line 4945. You're going to insert no later than 1200 hours, advance east, delay the enemy movements within AO Hound. Casualties were collected with CCP with the on-site OP4OC. They've got to be coordinated with them. We are doing, for your group, bottom of the even. All this gets jumbled together with the minefields and the FIBA markings, but here's what you've got to deal with. The minefield is just to the south of that creek. Okay?
Just to the south, it means if you step to the south of the creek, you're dead.
You can go in the creek, and you can go up the other bank. As soon as you come out the top, you're dead. Okay? Your limit is obviously the far side of this road. Your limit is the north side of this road. So you're allowed to go on the road. Remember, it's a public road. But you're allowed to fight on either side of that road. Alright guys, so you heard the road to war last night. You kind of understand basically there's some tension along this border. We've got our HQ down here. We've got various elements. Sorry about the symbology. The symbology should be reversed. We've got minefields, these red shaded areas. Basically these open fields. We've got a FIBA messed up through here. We've got elements here, engineer element here, minefield here. This is minefield. That's a minefield, right? We're going to be talking about AO Falcon. Okay? The PRK border defenses have been degraded through recent combat actions in the area. Our engineers, DSM engineers, have breached the PRK minefield in the vicinity of 494194. S2 UAV imagery showing enemy PRK units are active in the area and are likely conducting operations from a centralized location west of Easting Line 850. PRK forces are believed to be between platoon and company level strength. Your mission. You are a Charlie Company. Will conduct offensive operations to displace enemy forces occupying AO Falcon. This whole thing is AO Falcon. Right here. It's a thin strip, but AO Falcon. Commander's intent, the company level. Displace enemy forces occupying area north of the PRK border. Exploit the breach in the enemy line. Sorry, these are the key tasks. You're going to exploit the breach in the enemy line, insert into the AO Falcon, eliminate enemy resistance in AO Falcon, and collect PIR, priority intelligence requirements. Maintain communications with higher units. Locate and engage enemy units. That's the end state, is to locate and engage enemy units. Eliminate enemy defensive capabilities within PRK. Armac Regulars, 3rd Platoon, Charlie Company Honor, about 1,200 hours. Move to breach in minefield, vicinity grid 494-193. Proceed into AO Falcon, easting line 485 to easting line 4945. Advance west towards phase line Jello, eliminating enemy forces as encountered. If found, destroy suspected PRK HQ. Limit of advance is easting line 483. The ROE, you're free to engage confirmed forces in there. The minefields are impassable.
After the command team of each patrol got their op order, they in turn briefed their troops. And at this point, I'm going to give a slight apology to the Op 4. As being the S4 for this evolution, I had multiple duties to perform. And when they briefed their team, I was not present to videotape it, so I could not include it in this video. And for that, I do give them apologies. But from what I understand, talking to the other OCs, it was much the same as you see here is the Blue 4 briefs their team.
Just so you guys know, this is oriented the way you're facing, so right now you guys are facing that way, and the map is facing that way.
Okay, yes. So, once we get here, we will move in, we will be inserted in 2 teams. So we'll have Alpha Team being inserted first, and then when Alpha Team arrives, I want you guys to pull 360 security, and then hold 360 security, and then Bravo Team, along with me, Hamilton will go with Alpha Team, and then Gabe will go with me and Bravo Team, and then we'll join up with 360 security, and then
Where do we want the 360 security?
so Daphne's gate will be right here.
Got it.
So then just push into this field right here.
Yep, the power lines are there.
Yep. And then just set up your 360 security right there.
Got it.
And then once everybody joins up, we'll have 360 security. And then from there, we'll get up, and then we'll have a 2-column march down the road, which will be about 600 meters. So we'll follow this road along here. We'll march along here along this road in 2-column formation. So we can divide it up into Alpha on the left and Bravo on the right. And then once we reach this first creek line right here, that's where we will drop our rucksacks, and then we'll set up a security element so we can do 360 security here. And then keep in mind this whole creek line right here, all along here, south of that is all minefield, up to about 19,450. So from here to 19,450 in this area is minefields.
So you
Do
can
not go past the creek.
You can step in the creek, but you step at all on the other side of the creek you go up.
Yep. So do not step on the other side of the creek. So then from here, Kyle has a drone. So we will have him send his drone up and around on this road right here to give us our reconnaissance. And then the drone will push all the way down to this tree line, which is, this will be phase line right here. That second tree line right there is known as phase line gold.
Gold?
Yep, phase line gold. And I'll give you coordinates for all that in a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll have you push up your drone. You'll send it around, recon all this road, and then send it back down and around along that tree line. You'll send recon there, and then
Big loop.
yep. So just one big loop around there. Set it right back, leave it right there. And then from there, we will have our, so it'll be divided as our main force will be me, Gabe, Pang, Eli, Coleman, and Joe. That'll be, yeah, so Bravo team will be our main force with me and Gabe. And then our first fielders will be Kyle and TJ. And then our second fielders will be Robin and Dylan. Our main force will then, we'll have our be right here, and then our Robin and Dylan, those fielders will push along this creek and out. And then Kyle and TJ, those fielders, will have you go up to this first tree line right here. And then we'll have you guys push along here and check out that tree line. And then Kyle, oh wait, hold on. Yeah, so Robin and Dylan will be on this left side, pushing out a little bit, and then we'll set up an LPOP along here as well.
Is that going to be first feelers?
Feelers.
First fielders.
Feelers just going up there.
Okay. So no, okay, so no LPOP here, so then we'll just have our fielders push up along here, and then the main force will follow.
Do we want to drone that first tree line as well?
We can, yeah.
Okay.
So you can do.
I can zip up and down and come
Yeah.
back down the road.
The thing is about that tree line also is that it is so far away from where they will be starting. It will be hard for them to get there before us.
But
And it is very small and not a great defensive position. So we will, if they are there, they don't have anywhere to retreat except for across the field.
Got it.
So our whole force can smash into them down there.
yeah. So then our fielders will keep pushing up through here, Robin and Dylan, and then
Okay, I see where you're pointing at.
oh yeah, sorry. Let me see this. So Robin and Dylan, you guys will be pushing up as fielders towards this creek side, and then Kyle and TJ will be our fielders along here. And then once we reach this tree line right here, this is where Kyle and TJ will push up, and then Robin and Dylan, our fielders, will push up, and our main force will continue to follow. And then at this point, Kyle and TJ, there should be a gate right around here. If not, you guys will hop the fence, and then this is where you will proceed to push the road.
Okay.
So you guys will be pushing this roadside, and then Robin and Dylan, you guys will be pushing along the creek side as fielders, and then our main force will follow our left side fielders along here. And then roadside fielders, make sure you guys have smoke. So then make sure you're just pushing up that smoke. And then once we get our fielders up to here, we will push this tree line with our left fielders, and then right fielders, you guys will see what the contact is like. We'll do our rock drills just to make sure everybody's on the same page. As far as a general idea of the timestamps, so
Stand by to copy.
So the idea is to push down the road and meet here at the creek, get to the creek around 12:40, and then if we're around there at 12:40, we want to push through and hustle. And then this first tree line right here, which is known as FL Iron, if you want the grid coordinates, that's 49350 along that right here. So yeah, right along there.
What was that tree line? TR. What was the?
So this will be phase line iron. This first tree line is phase line iron, and we should reach that around 1300. And then we'll push through, and then we'll reach this second phase line, which is known as phase line gold. And then coordinates for that would be 49150.
49150.
Yeah, 49150, correct.
What was the first one?
The first
Baseline. Yeah.
first phase line was 49350.
Copy.
And then second phase line, which is phase line gold, 49150. Phase line gold. Our goal is to reach that around 1330.
We were also hoping to make contact before 1300.
Yes, so
It's very likely.
that's why when we reach here, if it's 1240, we'd like to reach here around this area around 1240. And once we reach 1240, if we're not here, we'll hustle and get moving to drop our wrecks to proceed to phase line iron. And then move on to phase line gold around 1330. And then after phase line gold, we'll continue to push along that tree line, which will then push us to here, which is phase line copper. And grid coordinates for that are 48750, so along those lines. And the goal to reach there is around 1420. From there, we continue to advance along this tree line with the main force and feelers, and then feelers on the road. And then our last objective, which is the final objective, which is phase line jello, which is this tree line right here, and along to the fob. We will reach phase line jello. The goal to reach there is around 1500, and the coordinates for that are 48400.
Remember, this is not a small little recon sneaky thing. We are going to be quiet, but we are an assault force that is trying to create a pursuit. So we are going to hit them, and we are going to be loud and pushing back.
Yes, so our feelers, make sure you guys are fixing in on the enemy and letting the main force know where they are at. And then our road guys, make sure you have contact with your team so that you know where each other are. Once we get to here, our main objective is to blow up the rack shack. So we will run through rock drills with that. And then pretty much once we reach this objective, we will pull our
LOA.
LOA.
Alright, so our LOA is 4830. Is that correct?
After each side completed their team briefings, they did their PCIs and went into their rock drills before stepping off on the operation.
Slick, boys. Buddy.
As the Op Force stepped off on their mission, the Air Force decided to come over and investigate and see what's going on. And some A-10s flying overhead got everybody motivated, and each side was convinced the air support was for them. Good hunting. So get him, Fidel. Well, the OPFOR inserted in foot because it just made plain sense to walk off the fob onto their objective, as it was only a few hundred meters away. The Blue 4 required insert by the EM50. Now, in our previous video a couple weeks ago, you saw the EM50 can hold a whopping 19 warriors. And that, while that is true, that's warriors equipped in fighting order. When you add rucks to the mix, the number decreases dramatically. And we had to bring the OPFOR in 2 lifts. So once they were brought in, the first lift set up their 360, did their lace, reported into higher that they were in place, and then the M50 went back and got the second lift.
I send that Alpha team is inserted. Over. Good copy. Out.
After the arrival of the second lift, they report in and lace report, they stepped off and began the mission as per the briefing earlier in this video. Blue 4 moved up the road, which was their MSR. They moved into the lower southeastern corner of the AO to infiltrate the area and then start taking their phase lines toward the FOB, which was their main objective. And as soon as they got into the area, they got hit, and they got hit hard. and most of their unit was wiped out. I don't have any real footage of that as I was not the OC with the patrol at that time. And at that point, they had to regroup, respawn, and come back with another plan. Well, their new plan was a pretty good one. They steamrolled through 3 phase lines fairly quickly in a fast and aggressive attack, and they were on the fob before we knew it. They came in, they blew up the radio shack, which was their mission, and then cleared the fob and moved off into the woods to consolidate and reorganize. Now here you're about to see one point where I missed the call as the OC. I got so overwhelmed by how fast they hit the fob and trying to film everything that I let this one thing go, and that's when they blow the shack. You can see people are pretty close to it. You set off a pound of C4 on a radio shack like that, and all the shrapnel it's going to create, that all the guys you can see in this video would probably be dead or at least severely wounded. And if I'd have caught that, I would have taken them out of the fight right then and there. However, that doesn't change the fact that the Blue 4 did accomplish their mission.
No. Over there. Yeah, that one. Push, 10. Push, 10. Moving. Push, 10. Okay. Cover me when I'm moving. Yeah. Copy, Alpha team. Moving. 2 minutes. Alpha on me! Alpha on me! Alpha on me! High low right here. Move! Push, go. Hi, go. Okay, go. DJ, where you at? Here. Go. Go. Going. Moving! Last man! Over to you.
Shortly after the Blue 4 accomplished their mission, the remnants of the OP4 came back to the fob to find it empty and clear of the enemy. Now this speaks well of the OP4 because these 3 young men you see here clearing the fob took it upon themselves. All the leadership of the OP4 had been killed in the previous battles and had not respawned yet, but they had the initiative to put together a team and march to the sound of enemy guns. When they got there were no enemy, but they effectively cleared the fob, and shows great initiative on their part. Not long after the young men of the OP4 cleared it, found it to be free of enemy, and departed back to their own lines, the Blue 4 chose to reoccupy the fob, and I'll let them explain why. You guys are on the enemy's fob. What happened?
Basically, we came through to blow up one of the buildings on the fob, got across, received very little resistance, overran that, exploited a small trail that went inside the creek to get through the minefields, set up a resting point. Found out that we realized that all of our guys were very low on water, and so we decided to come back through, raid the fob again, restock up on water, and then push the enemy lines.
Okay, what was your intention? Why you think you could come back to the fob? I mean, technically it's a smoking hole in the ground right now, but didn't you think the enemy would be back here?
But the enemy wasn't back though. We were prepared for heavy contact and didn't receive any.
Okay, so you came prepared to fight for this water if you needed it.
Yeah.
All right.
We were going to try, if we were still in contact, we were going to push all the way up to the wells and refuel there. Received no contact, we refueled here.
Okay, excellent.
Point to where you guys are. Okay, very good. Okay, and what'd you just do?
So we
Basically, in short.
So basically we dropped off our insertion.
Oh, not that. Like, what'd you just accomplish? Did you accomplish something?
Yeah, so we
Held the base.
held the base.
You blew up the base.
Blew up the base, held the base.
Cool. All right, you did that. Good. Problem now is that since you've done that, we believe the enemy is prepping for an artillery strike. We're seeing some intelligence signs that they're rolling out those assets, and they're probably going to drop bombs on this place, or artillery rounds on this place. So we need you to unass this place. But we need you to still maintain close enough distance that we don't lose the ground we gain. We're going to try to get you assets up in here to help reinforce, but I need you to hold what you got for now. So where are your rucks right now?
So they're down here.
I need you to go back and get your rucks, and ultimately I want you ended up in phase line copper. We think that's a safe distance for what we believe they're going to bring down on this place. Okay? So I want you to report as you're going back those phase lines, because I don't want to lose contact with you. You're our only asset up here, and if you run into something back here, I need to know about it, I need to know where you were. Okay? So in other words, if I hear you cross phase line copper, and then all of a sudden the radio goes silent, I'll know something happened in the middle of that. Okay? And I need you to report all the way back up until you're back in position. Okay? You decide how you're going to do that.
Okay.
Pretty clear?
Yep.
Okay, but you need to get out of this place pretty fast, so come up with a plan real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
The night was uneventful. While both teams were tasked with carrying out patrols throughout the night to do certain reconnaissance missions in preparation of the next day, neither side bumped into each other in the night. When the dawn came, it was time to do an OC switch. And at that point, I rotated into the Op 4 from the white cell, and the OC that I was replacing rotated over to the blue 4. When I got there, they were just standing to and getting ready to go through their day's mission after they were given a frago. The patrol leader and the APL briefed 2 recon teams to go out, reconnoiter into some open area between 2 minefields leading up to their first phase line to see if the enemy had moved off the phase line and into that area of the brush. The first patrol did not yield any results. No enemy were found. So the patrol came back, and the team was fragoed with the requirement to do another patrol, and they decided to do 2, splitting off 1 to become a watering party. As soon as the 2 patrols stepped off, the one going for the water ran into an enemy patrol, and a firefight started right outside the base, and the attack was repulsed. Let's go! Get online with me! Get online with me! Let's go! Let's get this guy! Right there. Right there, I got it. Done. Back it. What's on the ground? What's on the ground right there? You gonna be quick? Right there. Got it. I'm moving up. Go. There he is. Your safety kill. Safety kill. We got left. Move. All right, we're sweeping through. I need an element to stay back. I'll lay back.
I'll stay back.
I'll stay back. Go up. Move up.
Roger that.
Right there.
Come with me. You two.
Check for intel. Check for intel.
In a minute.
What intel you got? Realizing that their PB was compromised by this firefight, the Op 4 decided to pick up and move to another location. They decided, since they had reconnoitered toward the phase line, that that area was cleared because they had no contact, and moved into that area.
All right, let's get online, guys. Get online. Get online. Get online. Get online. Prepare to move up.
Preparing, moving up.
Contact in the 3 lines. Get ahead.
Security right side. In the back, security right.
Security right. Yeah, moving shifted to my right.
CCP on me. Moving out from the old patrol base to the new one, the Op 4 got ambushed. It was a hot firefight. Both forces gave as good as they got. Ultimately, we had to stop due to an injury by a smoke grenade roasting one of the Op 4 members' nuts.
A two-man recon force to lead the force. I'm gonna be one. Who's gonna be? Okay, you. All right. PL. He's gonna brief you guys. So bring it in. Well, help me out here. You can have a better idea in my head. But so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little drag and we're gonna do a little pull and drag. Okay. So you guys are going to be in your fire teams. I'm taking Spicoli, and we're going to fucking go up 50 meters ahead with our rucks on, okay? We're going to get up there. We're going to move up to, we are right basically on this. We are right on this 4-5, right here, right there.
We're about here, I believe. 485 and 94. Okay, he's just
Okay, even better. Okay, so what we're going to do is,
guys.
me and Spicoli are going to go about 50 to 100 meters, maybe like 70 meters or so. Okay, we're going to move up and we're going to radio you guys. Come on up, all right? You guys are going to come on up and then we're going to move on down. We're going to eventually squeeze into this little spot here, establish a hide patrol base for the night, where we're going to be super, super quiet. Once we're inside this little sliver, we have protection to the south and the north. So we'll have an LPOP and on each side of this little canyon, and we'll 300 these guys as they come in. All right, we'll alternate. We'll develop this plan later, but we'll probably be, instead of recon, we'll be LPOP and out unless mission changes. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and me and Spicoli are going to get rucked up, and we're going to move out soon. We're going to ruck out. We're going to ruck out in. It's 12:30. We're going to, once I'm done, we're going to try to get out of here at 12:35. Okay, that's 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Once we do that, we're going to head out. You guys just kind of, you guys are still going to walk, but let us get a little bit of distance. You guys aren't static. And then we're going to be your early detection system. If we take contact, right, we are going to drop our rucks and fight. You guys are going to drop your rucks, get online in your fire teams and your buddies. Fucking, if you don't have a buddy yet, get a fire team fighting buddy, get on, and we're going to be the aggressors. Violence of action, and we're going to aggress them. We've got the same amount of dudes they do. We wear the same patch they do. We've got the same guns they do. Let's be aggressive just like they've been. All right? I know you guys want this. Because I want it.
Remember during the STX down by the barn there, we had to pursue the enemy through the woods?
Yep.
General idea there is we have a unit that pushes forward, puts as much firepower and fixing on the enemy as possible. Then we have a maneuver unit, goes around and finishes them, right?
So we need to be on this phase line by what,
1600.
1600, okay? So the faster we get down into this patrol base and set it up, the sooner we can get some gas in our tanks, get a little bit of rest, get a plan together, make sure we like that patrol base first, and then begin reconning out, because we're going to hammer and anvil these guys back to where they came from. Hoorah?
Hoorah.
All right, let's go. Yeah.
No sooner had the Op 4 set into their new patrol base than they were discovered by the Blue 4. But the Op 4 counterattacked, drove the initial Blue 4 off, and then because their patrol base ended up being very close to their first phase line objective, they mounted assault right away.
Okay, as long as you're alive. All right, I need an element to start moving down the... Check your bags. Yankee, move up! Move up! Contact 10 o'clock. You're in the range, you're in the See him? Watch where you're shooting. Move up! Get him on, he's reloading! Go! Move on! Next!
CCP on me!
Roger that. Roger that. I got safety killed.
Anyways, go back to the thing, and that's your casualty collection point.
Look at that tree, 3 prongs. Look to the right of it.
Go back.
Cover! Cover! Cover!
Now here's a view of the fight from the perspective of the Blue 4.
Move!
Did anybody get intel? Did they get your intel?
No, there's nothing on there.
Welcome to Valhalla.
Hey, that was a horrible move. Don't crawl up the middle.
No, I was coming up behind you guys, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, no exit strategy there.
Let's go!
We got Leo.
We had a guy right here putting flanking fire down.
This is what we did the best. I think that wasn't a bad push because we didn't know. You know what I mean?
All right, well, it's at this point I've run out of footage of the FTX, but a lot was still happening, so you're going to get the monologue. So at the conclusion of this firefight, the Blue 4 held on, but only just. They had 2 guys left alive. The Op 4 was eventually eliminated, and eventually is the key word. While the main body was hit hard and took casualties at the same rate that the Blue 4 did, the last few Op 4 guys had to be hunted down individually, and they pressed the fight pretty hard. The Blue 4 held, but they paid a very high price to do it. As the OC on the Op 4 side, in the heat of the day, which is around the 100-degree mark, I couldn't have them hit the watering hole that was at the objective because the Blue 4 was sitting on it, and that is just an unrealistic thing. I had them fall back to the fob where there was a water source, and the Blue Force, being in the same condition of being mostly wiped out, was on a water source. It all kind of worked out. So falling back to the fob, the Op 4 consolidated, reorganized, did foot maintenance, topped off on their water, and prepared to step off when their respawn time came. Unfortunately, when their respawn time came, they weren't finished squaring themselves away and watering up and all those tasks. So they stepped off 20 minutes later than perhaps they should have. And unfortunately, that allowed the Blue 4 to get some observation on them, who saw the Op 4 depart the fob, the direction of travel, made a navigational error and hit what they thought would be the Op 4, but turned out to be an empty trench line. But the Blue 4, quickly figuring out what had gone wrong, practically ran down the mutt trails parallel to where the Op 4 was going to, and only arrived at the Op 4's new PB about 5 minutes later than the Op 4 did. Unfortunately, at this time, a heat casualty had occurred, and we had to call a Stop X. The Stop X ended up lasting for almost 3.5 hours, and at that time the heat casualty was severe enough that we had to send him to the hospital, but he recovered awesomely and was back later that evening. At the end of the Stop X, which was at about 1900, the Op 4 was given orders to take their first phase line back, the second one if they could, and push the enemy as hard as they could. They went out, there was a terrific firefight that there was no problem hearing back in the Radio Shack, and shortly thereafter we got calls in that the Op 4 had indeed taken their phase line from the Blue 4. Then things started to get sporadic, as they often do in a firefight, and one mistake a lot of people would make is they would take their radio antennas and bend them down to keep them from sticking up and flagging their position. It's a common practice. But when you want to transmit and your antenna's bent down or curled up, you really reduce the transmitting power and range. And so radio calls at that point got really sporadic. We only had contact with one person in the Op 4 as higher. But to be fair, the same problem was affecting the Blue 4, and their reports started to trickle off too. Although in the after-action report we learned that that was more because Blue 4 had suffered attrition and their radio operators were dead, so dead men make no calls. The Op 4 did take their first phase line. They pressed on and managed to take the second line. Unfortunately there, things had fallen apart due to the bad radio communications, and forces that were on the Op 4 that had been hit and were awaiting their respawn had got separated from their OC and had retrograded all the way back to the fob to find the white cell to get their miles reset and await their respawn times and move out. Unfortunately, that really sucked the momentum out of the Op-4. Once the second phase line had been taken, it was only held by a small element of the Op-4. At that time, as the white cell, the orders given to the Op-4 were that they were to take the third and final phase line by dawn's early light. So they had the rest of the evening to probe, to consolidate, reorganize, and due to some navigational errors or misunderstanding of the orders, they ended up back at their first phase line, withdrawn from the second one they had taken. The Blue 4 kept up their normal aggressiveness. They patrolled forward and found out that that middle phase line had not been occupied like they thought it had been earlier. So they reoccupied that during the evening. Due to radio miscommunication, those of us back in the white cell were unclear of the exact position of both forces. So we thought the Blue 4 was in the farthest back phase line, and we thought the Op 4 was in the middle phase line. Turned out that was not the case. So when Blue 4 came in requesting orders to advance forward, we gave them a negative reply. Their second request was to go forward one phase line, to which we said, yes, that's okay, not realizing that they were on the phase line we wanted them to advance to. They were already there. So in a nutshell, we said they could advance to where they already were, which basically held them in place. The Op-4 stayed in place all night as well, consolidating and reorganizing. And then when the dawn came, there was a rumor of peace negotiations, so both units were advised to hold what they had and prepare for further orders. The Blue 4 prepared to launch an attack in case other orders for that came. The Op-4 fortified their defense. Peace negotiations progressed, and then it was decided that the Blue 4, the aggressor, had achieved what they wanted to do, which was keep access to an MSR, and that they were willing to make peace. At that point, peace being achieved, the units were given the orders to end X.
All stations, index.
We hope you found this coverage of the summer FTX at One Shepherd helpful and informative. I hope it encourages you to eventually attend a One Shepherd semester and find out what the experience is like. I'd like to take this time to thank a few people that were instrumental in the making of this video. First is Long Pang for his playing of the pop flare on the water can that provided our intro music. And Udo Atencio, who was one of the OCs on this FTX and who provided a lot of the coverage that I have of the Blue 4 that you've seen previously in this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and continue watching, because come September, it's the 40th anniversary of the One Shepherd Leadership Institute, and it'll be the largest FTX they've ever had, and we, of course, will have coverage for you.